Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video review. I apologise for this. It's just that unfortunately I suffer from RSI on both wrists, repetitive strain injury, and they're very sore at the moment. I've just been writing all day and yesterday and Sunday, and I just can't do any more tonight, and I've got other things to do tomorrow, so I thought get this done this way so at least I can get my review post out tonight. So unfortunately you're going to have to listen to my boring voice for hopefully not more than 10 minutes. I know it's boring, it's one of those things. When I was younger, friends wished and hoped that they would become footballers and actors, and I wished I would wake up one morning and my voice would sound like Richard Burton or James Mason or Orson Welles, but as you can tell, that never happened. So, sorry, we just put up with me for 10 minutes and we'll go over my review of the final episode in Series 5, Icarus. Let's start with the good points. I mean, overall it was a good episode. Probably better than most of the others in this series, but that's not saying much. As you know, I've not thought much about many of the episodes of this series, so it's damning it with faint praise, calling it a good episode. But in the episode, Russell Lewis, the writer, shows at times what he is capable of. You have scenes, for instance, that I thought were brilliant. You have the scene with Bright and Morse, when Morse goes to visit Bright at his home. This is a great scene. For some obvious reasons, Anton Lesser being seen at home and not in the police station. It's good to see. I believe I read that Anton asked Russell to write him some scenes wherein he wasn't always in uniform, and we've seen him out of uniform as it is a few times in this episode. But Anton Lesser is a great actor. I've seen him in numerous things, but one thing, if you haven't watched, is Wolf Hall, which Anton Lesser is starred in, and he is fantastic in that. And you see a very different Anton Lesser, a very different style of acting he does in that series. It's called Wolf Hall. It's based on Hilary Mantel's, again, fantastic book of the same name. Anyway, this is a great episode, and of course we learn something new about Anton, or the character Bright, in that he had a daughter who died young, possibly of malaria, and we can now see why he is so fond of true love, why he's so protector of her, and of course probably why Mrs. Bright keeps herself very busy with voluntary work and other such things, events she goes to, obviously just trying to keep her mind busy, because the death of a child must prey on your mind every minute of every day. The next great scene, I think, is between Joan and Fred. Again, this is a very well written scene here. Again, very well acted, and it's wonderful the way Roger Allam is in this scene. He's obviously hoping that Wynne comes back, and he may be slightly disappointed that it isn't Wynne, but he's so happy, of course, to see Joan. And you can see he's almost on the verge of crying there when Joan says she would walk any length to see him. and it's a wonderful scene. And also what's worth noting is this one subtle little thing, but again it's probably been put in there by Russell, but I'll just put it to show you. If you notice here in this scene, you see Fred's hat is lying on the table. Now, he would never do that if Wynne was at home. We now know through his conversation with Joan that he hasn't bought any food, and now he's just letting things go, and that's indicative of the hat being on the table. And Wynne would never allowed it either. So it's a small, subtle hint that that Fred is allowing things to go downhill at home. And of course, it's hard, it would be difficult, it would be impossible not to mention the ending scenes, especially in the office, when we have all the four protagonists here together. It's almost like the Musketeers, with, of course, D'Artagnan is not an actual musketeer, but he wants to be one of them. But yeah, I mean, this is a lovely scene. It's great again in the sense of how they are supporting Bright, but it's so well written, and I know from what I know of Russell Lewis that he's a great writer. But yes, of course there's a but. This subtle writing so often is ruined by an almost artless style he uses. It's something very crass, it's very obvious, and it's a poor juxtaposition between that less than subtle writing and these wonderful scenes. And that includes, of course, a great scene with True Love in March, which is another very good scene. And by less than subtle I mean things like, for instance, well, let's start with, I predicted, as quite a few people did predict similar things, I predicted, and I'm not a psychic, that George Fancy would be killed, True Love would be leaving, Bright would be leaving, and I still think he will be, and I also said Strange would be leaving, and I still think he will. I think he might appear in the next series, maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes, but I do think he'll be written out. I also predicted that Fred would not retire due to the fact that his brother Charlie would lose all the money. These things are so predictable from almost episode 2, and that really shouldn't happen. I mean, yes, maybe predicting 1 or maybe 2 things, but to predict so many should not happen. That just is proof of poor writing. I know David Bishop, who wrote the excellent Complete Inspector Morse, I know he predicted a few of the events that happened, and actually David Bishop actually teaches creative writing in Edinburgh, and I'm sure if his pupils wrote stories that were as predictable as many of the things were in this series, he would tell them to go and try harder. And I feel that's what Russell Lewis has to do, is try harder. Less of these references to modern politics, less of these references to other films and TV shows and personalities, etc. It just doesn't need that, because you begin to wonder, what does he put first? The story, or does a list of references that he wants to include? And that's not a good thing if you're thinking that. Yes, put in references to the previous John Thaw Morse series, that would make sense. Nods to that series. Occasional maybe reference, but so many, as my blog posts have shown, there is just so many that it's just overwhelming. Please, Russell, forget those, concentrate on the plot, the story, the characters, and that would make season 6 so much better. And talking of future series, I think now, as I've said on my post before, that I believe there'll only now be 2 more series, and both of them will be of 5 episodes each, unless he does another 6 and a 4. But there'll only be, I believe, 10 more episodes. And if you've read my blog, you'll know my thinking behind that, i.e. that is, the original Spectre Morse had 33 episodes, the Lewis series had 33 episodes, and that was because Kevin Whately, who played Lewis, did not want to go beyond the number of Inspector Morse episodes there was. So I believe Russell Lewis will do the same thing. So it's either 2 5 episode series or 1 6 and 1 4. I can't see it being 3 and a 4. I don't think that would happen. And I believe probably when it'll be next time, 6th series 1969, 7th series 1970, and that's it. And it may then end with McNutt, one of his great mentors, as mentioned in Masonic Mysteries, an original Morse episode. He will turn up at the very end of the last scene in the last episode of the final series. Now, my other predictions for season 6 are that the cheque that Fred wrote to Charlie, his brother, will come back to haunt him, because of course the money was used for illegal means. So I think that will come back in some way to haunt him. As I said, I think Strange will only be in 1, maybe 2 episodes at the most. I think Win Thursday will return to the series. I'd be very surprised if she doesn't come back, but we'll see. And as far as Joan and Morse are concerned, well, you have to assume that a year has passed by the time of the next series. In that, I mean, a year in time within the series, not in just in reality. So I don't believe they'll be together. I'm just hoping, though, to God they don't do another will they or won't they, because that has haunted this whole series and it's been ridiculous. Then will they or won't they, etc. And then, you know, Claudine just suddenly she disappears, and oh, it's just, to me, nonsense. Just either have them together or don't, and that's it. Leave it at that. Now, my final words are that I want the Endeavour series to be great. I want it to be good, because shows like this are a rarity in the writing and the acting, etc. I mean, it's too much rubbish in TV with Z-list celebrities baking or dancing or whatever else they do, which is just unwatchable. I would rather see, you know, a bad episode of Endeavour than any of that other nonsense that's on television. So I do. People may think because I've been so overly critical, and I personally don't think I've been overly critical. I just think I'm being honest, but critical, of course. It's part of what my blog's about. I can't be dishonest. I have to say what I think. I don't think there's any point in being sycophantic. But so I'm hoping upon hope that the next series will be a cracker and really get it back to the way it was in the first 3 series. So I will stop droning on. I hope this hasn't been too boring for you. Of course, after this post, I'll be back to reviewing the older Endeavour series episodes, and of course the Moss series episodes. I've also got a few things in the pipeline, interesting things that I won't go into now, but hopefully you'll like them. But for the moment, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of my blog. Again, I don't want to sound facetious, but without you visiting my blog, reading my blog, it ceases to exist. So thank you, and I'll see you again in my next post. Bye.